Hi everyone, Pyramid Intel. We are at such a crucial time right now. The energy is all starting to peak, everything's coming to a head, and I believe it's so important. I think today's the 21st or 22nd of July. I think it's so important that we all pay really close attention, those who are on the Ascension process right now or just really want to stay on top of world events and participate in a positive way to the best of their ability. Now is that time. And I'm going to make a lot of pyramid videos over the next couple of weeks because there's never been a better time. This is the whole reason why I'm making them, to assist people to get the best possible outcome. And I thought I'd kick it off by just talking about what this whole thing is, to really ground it for people, because Ascension and 5D and 3D, it's such an unclear, non-solidified, esoteric topic, that I want people to realize that, is it that? Yes, it is. But not as much as you would think, because you have not, most likely, when I say you, have not, like most of us, been really educated on how everything works, and it hasn't been made a part of your reality in such a way that it would be tangible. And that's why most people have not paid any attention to it, and that's been done intentionally. But it's important that you realize that it's just as real as the seat behind me and the air you're breathing and this entire reality. The Ascension process, the explanation of what this is and how it all works, it's just as real. And we want to get as many people just conscious of this and on board right now so that we can all benefit from it. So, and since we're in the most powerful surge of the year now through the end of August, it's so important. And I am never here to tell you what you should do or what you should think or anything. That is totally against everything that I stand for. All I'm doing is explaining to you information that I get, perceptions about the true nature of reality and how it all works, and give you a heads up so that you can pay attention and experience it for yourself and make the decisions that are going to be best for you. The whole point of this ascension, and where I hope to come out at the other end for myself and the rest of humanity, is a place where everyone will be standing in their own sovereignty and power, confidence in what they're seeing and feeling and experiencing, and making decisions completely for themselves on what they believe to be true and best for them, and just assist everyone to be the best that they can be, because the answer is not to make everyone the same. That is an old paradigm. It's going down in flames. It's wrong on every level. And that's the one thing that we need to leave behind. If I look at any movement, organization, group, whatever, that I may absolutely love or be participating in at any given time, if there's too much similarity, too common thread, to where I feel like everyone's getting smashed together, I will often step all the way out and look at it again, because as I have mentioned with fingerprints, something as seemingly unimportant as just the little ridge design on your fingertips, for there not to be an exact replica anywhere on the planet of all the billions of people, just tells you how incredibly unique and brilliant every single part of you is. And if it's so specific and individual and made just for you on the tips of your fingers, all the other parts of your being are going to be equally valuable and exotic and worthwhile, and it needs to be authentically expressed. And it's true what I'm saying. And we are where we are with such aggression and violence and just mean-spiritedness, because of people wanting to make other people like them, or going after the people that are the most not like them, and I'm right and they're wrong, and it's not our humanity's fault. We've been under a program, which is the Matrix. This, I hope to be a little bit of a QA explanation. Like, when I talk about these things, people are like, well, what exactly is the Matrix? And, they're very defensive and triggered when you start talking about it. Right there, anything that makes you defensive and triggered is a program. When you just overhear something, or you get involved in a topic, you hear one little thing and it triggers you in any way, stop right there and look at that program. That's what you want to pull out, because how this is going to work, how it will work to move forward as quickly as possible, to get the most out of it as quickly as possible. And really, ultimately, this is the goal of reclaiming your brain, getting rid of all those old programs. When you are triggered by anything, that's a red flag. You can just stop right there until you take care of that, because you cannot move forward. You're not seeing things clearly. You'll never know and accept the truth for what it is, and then make a decision that's going to be best for you and for everything that you truly stand for, as long as you still have triggers. And I'm going to go all the way, because somebody has to. And by going all the way authentically and touching things that most people, you couldn't pay them enough to do it, I hope. And I do not particularly enjoy it either, because I know it puts me in the line of fire. But I'm willing to do it because it's true and it's authentic, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. So I want to talk triggers right now, so you'll know exactly what I'm talking about as far as pulling programs out. Roe versus Wade being overturned. Big topic for everyone, especially women. And I am really big and supportive of women and freedom for women and women's sovereignty and everything. And so people often bring that up to me. And when I initially heard it, like everyone else, I had a reaction, an emotional feeling behind it, because it's a touchy topic. And what I'm going to tell you will hopefully explain the importance of this whole ascension process, and how to tell the difference between your triggers and your ego and the energetic ascension process. So, kind of know who I am. I gave a brief description, so you'll know that I would definitely have a passionate feeling about, the implications of having abortions accessible versus not accessible, and women's rights, and just all. It's like a very rich and varied topic. Someone else coming in will, the abortion's going to trigger them from a religious perspective, and God and murder and commandments and stuff like that. And that's a very strong trigger. So all of those things going on. So when I get information and it comes in and it's higher vibrational information, this is an example of how you can discern, and how I am able to discern. And I'm using this example because it's big. Okay. So everything happens for a reason. If you believe that, or if you have found that to be true just from looking at the patterns of everything, then all the things that are happening right now have a divine purpose, and they're part of the plan, to get us all where we need to go, where we will learn something. Since everything is changing so quickly, and it doesn't make sense, and we have so many firsts occurring on a global scale, if you look back just at the lockdown in 2020, whether you believe it was truly caused by an out-of-control virus, or whether you think that there was a conspiracy and governments perhaps wanted us all to stay in our houses for some other reason, or it was, whatever explanation you may have about it. The fact is, the entire globe, all the people came together for the first time in Earth history to have a global, what is the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word. I'm blank. Sorry. All together as one, we all came together and shut our lives down. The fact that you can get one American city to shut its life down at the same time and go inside their house is a miracle in itself. We did it globally, you guys, within a couple of weeks. Everything, we were all of one mind. It was like a hive mind. We all came together, we were in the same place, and we all had the same experience at the same time. That's incredibly profound. And then it wasn't for 24 hours. That would have been mind-blowing. It went on for months, right? And considering how quickly everything changed, and then how things have continued to change since that time, clearly there was a reason for it. It was to really stop and make everything grind to a halt, and so you can just reevaluate and start thinking and paying attention and reevaluating and getting your brain going again. Because unless you do that, unless you stop, you make a break in your routine by taking a vacation or meditating or driving a different way to work or whatever, doing something to break your rut, your autopilot that we all do when we do repetitive things. You're not engaged, you're not seeing anything, you're not awake, you're not alert, you're not discerning or doing any of these things that are going to help you in the ascension process. So regardless of what the actual cause, because again, is there ever an actual cause, or is everything just perception? It's a whole other video. But we all got locked down. We all had that opportunity. The energetic shifted in a huge way. And I think most people would probably agree that there is a really big battle of some sort that between opposing forces, whether it's you see it as God and the devil, whether you just see it as laws of karma. If you just you're looking at the quantum field, cause and effect, and just the whole way energy moves, it doesn't matter. It's still what you put out is what you get back. It's the circular movement of energy. Everything moves in a spiral. Everything moves in a circle. Flush the toilet, moves in a circle. Pull the plug in the sink, moves in a circle. Everything moves in a circle. Hurricanes, cyclones, circles. So you have this motion, you have this motion, you have this motion. You're a scalar wave generator. You put out energy. What you put out comes back to you, because there's no other way for it to be. Which, while I'm on this topic, it blows my mind how you can have people that have devoted their entire lives to energy manipulation, and yet they're retarded. They're not retarded. So these people are brilliant, but they keep doing the same thing over and over and over. They keep punching themselves in the face until they're dead. People are doing this. People have done this, and I see them continuing to do it. And I ask, what the hell is going on? Of all the people, how could they not know? Well, I probably make a video about this as well. You know what it is? They're not able to see the truth. The matrix, which is your physical reality around you, what you perceive to be your physical reality and your truth of your world. Where the 3D, they say, is kind of in a lower vibrational frequency. It's not so great. We want to go to a more evolved place. What you're seeing right now is this split, which is exactly what I want to talk about right now, how everything's pulling apart. You have the two frequencies overlapping, and we've been able to kind of all go along. There's some sitting the lunatic fringe around the edges, the extremists, but for the most part the collective has been intermingled fairly harmoniously. We are at a point right now, for a variety of reasons, that we are some going up quickly, pulling away higher, some are staying where they are, and inevitably some are sinking lower. So you're getting a huge span. The distance is getting bigger and bigger. And you'll get to a point when you're talking about sound frequency, energetic waves and stuff, where they're not eventually going to exist within the same space. Kind of like the light spectrum. You have invisible light spectrum and visible light spectrum. And why are they so different? Because they are far apart. And the ones that are close to each other end up in the same range of visible or invisible. This is what is happening to human beings' energetics. So what are our energetics? Our consciousness, right? That's our life spark. That's our energetic field, our auric field, our whole frequency band that we have. And as you go up or down with your moods and your way of being, that's what I'm talking about. That's a high or low and fluctuations. It's getting more extreme. So you're going to see things more clearly than ever. Have people always been doing energy manipulation on other people? Yes. But I am hyper aware of it now. I see everything really clearly. And I know a lot of other people are starting to see it too. Just how people really are. Their hidden motivations, whether they're lying or telling the truth. You see everything. If people are moving up on the frequency band consistently, if you haven't seen this, you will start seeing this. It's going to get clearer and clearer and clearer. And this is, you're opening up your brain. It's not perceiving heaviness, density anymore. Everything's just crisp and clear. It just happens. It's the natural activation of a higher vibration. It happens. Which brings me to the people that are doing energy manipulations. They're vibrating lower, denser, heavier. They don't have the clarity to see what looks so obvious from a higher frequency. They can't see it. So that's why they can keep repeating the same thing over and over and over. Well, you have that ego. Ego is your heavier, earthbound brain frequency that you create to survive. Survival is the lowest vibration things. Do I have food? Do I have shelter? I have to take whatever I can. You caveman, you know what I mean? Basic survival instincts. They're operating from that because a higher evolved being isn't going to rape and murder and torture and everything in order to survive. They're just not. They wouldn't enter their mind to do that. And why? Because they're seeing a wider range. This is not a put down to the people that are actually in the lower frequency. The reason they spiral it and keep doing it over and over and over, and I'm looking saying, how can they not see the pattern? Because they can't see the pattern. That's the thing about being in lower frequency and higher frequency. Your ability to activate different parts of your brain so you expand and you see more and more and more and more truths. So that's the difference between the two. And that's why, as we go through this, you must be so careful with your interactions with people that are on different frequency bands. It's so important that you don't get your energies locked together. As we've had one collective consciousness, there we are, all with our energetics all mingling together, and doing this whole thing. And as we get farther and farther apart, vibrating higher and higher and lower, that's when you can still see and hear another frequency. It's like those overlapping radio stations, but they're getting louder and more obvious. When you're on a similar harmonic, you blend together. It's not as obvious, it's not as grating, and it's noticeable, but it's not so bad. But as you pull apart farther and farther and farther, it becomes more obvious, it becomes louder and blaring and grating, and we're staring at each other in shock, like, what the hell is wrong with them? The higher beings are, just because of the reasons I said to you, just for those reasons, they would not, be inclined to try to stop or blame or damage the people who are different. But the lower beings, that's how they've always functioned. They're going to continue to function, and without the higher perspective to help them through the difficulties of changes, they are going to react in a really negative way to the changes. Because remember, changes, the only reason why we have change at all is because it threatens our survival, our most basic energetics. And when you're at a higher perspective, you can view it through the higher lens. You have so many more options, and you're able to go. But when you're in a lower frequency, you can't see shit. That's the truth. You can't see shit. That's why they get caught in these vortexes of repetitive behavior that they can't get out of. That's why if you reach a hand out and you try to bring someone up who's not even looking, who doesn't see the exit, doesn't understand it, doesn't want it, you are not helping them. You are enraging them, and they feel attacked because from their perspective, you're telling them they're not okay. You're telling them that they need to do better. You're telling them, all kinds of things that they don't want to hear because they're busy surviving in that moment. Thank you very much. So that's two different energetics. It's explaining, hopefully, where we are right now and how you're feeling, and maybe different things that are happening to you, and as you look around you and you're observing different people, and this is how it's going to continue to be for some time. Now, where that's getting amplified by the environmental energetics, celestial energetics, everything that we're going through over the next few weeks. So, man, I hope I explained that clearly. I hope that everyone is with me. You can see that. If you can see that, it will help you, hopefully, whichever group that you are in, to not attack the other side and to not even let yourself get bent out of shape. You do what you want to do, where you are, and the way that you want, in a way that matters to you. I, as a higher vibrational being, I do not condone anything that takes from another living being. I'm not okay with that. But it doesn't mean that I would love those beings any less, that I don't see their value. There isn't one person among us who can say that they have not been in a lower vibrational state. You have. You may have passed, you do pass through them. Any of those emotions are the low vibrational state. You may not choose to stay there very long, but you understand it, and you understand how you can spin out in that, So the point of this message is to, as we go through these changes and we see people doing things that are just like, just so painful and horrible, and when you see school shootings and just any of these things, just know that that's what's going on. That's why it's going on. You can break it down into much more complicated stories and the players and this or that, but at this point, because there's so much being asked of us, and it's crucial, and the details of everything out there is not necessary for your journey in here. A broad picture of exactly what's going on and how it's all working and everything is helpful and necessary, but it's more important that you understand the energetics and the ascension process. That's the only thing that affects you personally. That is the only thing that you can affect personally, your personal journey, to make sure that you understand what's going on as much as possible, and you do everything that you can to make sure that you're doing and being and giving and receiving everything to the best of your ability for yourself as well as for everyone around you, So when we talk about Roe versus Wade, this was the message. And I so knew the fact that I talked to my private group about this. I knew that it wasn't me speaking, because I wouldn't have wanted to touch this one with a 10-foot pole. And I did not even necessarily like this message, but I could understand from a higher perspective how this could be an absolute truth. So it was this. Abortion is a traumatic and violent murder of a living being. The divine soul spark of creation, especially of a human soul, is such a precious and divine and high vibrational piece of the God spark. The entire creation process in our physical reality and all of the energetics and divine bits of magic that participate for that exact point in time, it's very meaningful. It's very profound. So, for a human being to decide, and this is no judgment, I'm talking energetics, okay? If I'm triggering anyone, please, it is not meant. I just need to tell the story. To decide to take it upon yourself to eliminate it, to just snuff it out, boom, and eliminate that divine white light creative spark into nothingness, into darkness, to wipe it out. It's okay. This isn't about judgment. It's just about the intensity, the butterfly effect of the energetics from that exact point in time, of how you're shifting everything, how much light you are removing energetically from that exact point in the space and time, how the ripple effect, had that divine spark continued on exactly in that point in space and time, how different the energetics would be. So I think I'm explaining this clearly. Okay, that's the now, to be honest, every decision that you make at any given point of your day, of your existence, is a butterfly effect. The words that you speak and all of that, how it interacts with the field, I just explained it in a way, and that talking about a specific thing, it's very obvious to see, but you can break it down in the same way with every person you encounter, every thought that you have, every word that you speak. It is also, that's why everything matters. And the more that you understand how it all works, the energetics of the quantum field, you realize the grave responsibility that you have to be the best that you can be, because you understand, truly what it means and what you are. And so, as we have this battle between the higher and the lower, the light and the dark, however you want to look at it, whether you look at it as simply the energetics of quantum physics, or whether you look at it as the book of Revelations, and there are so many predictions of this point in time, the Mayan calendar, the Hopi Indians, the Christian, there lots of interpretations. All I know is that I see them aligning and explaining this point in time, and from their own perspectives. It's an important time. And energetically, this is what I have seen about the consciousness being intertwined, and then as they become, as they're pulling farther and farther apart on the frequency band, they're moving, they're growing and expanding. It's pulling apart this collective consciousness, and when you have two things pulling at each other, what is that? This is war, this is conflict, it's a tug of war, it's energetics. And the lower frequency is going to be heavier, and it's wrapped around the ascending frequency, and it's pulling it down. And simply by the nature of the lower frequency and the higher frequency, the lower frequency is feeding off of the light of the higher frequency. This is a problem of coexisting within the same space. For me, as a higher being anyway, they see you as a food source. They see you as, someone that they can take from to get what they need, right? Low vibrational people are only worried about themselves, and they enjoy feeling powerful by taking away someone else's power. They steal, they rob, they pillage, they rape, they torture, and they take what you have, through an inability to get out of their vortex of being, to see that there is another option that could actually be much more rewarding for everyone involved. They really don't see that. And this is why also, when we think of them, if you can just keep that in mind, that it's just part of the creation process. We're all part of the God spark, and why they are where they are. And not take it personally. Don't let it become an attachment for you, because it's not about you. It's about the energetics and the vortex spiraling state of being where they are. You can have unconditional love for them, which will be another video. The bottom line is, as we pull apart, this is weird and uncomfortable and crazy for all of us, and even the light rays that have been preparing for this for the longest time, there's uncertainty and it's stressful, and you have the physical stress, changing your molecular structure and stuff, you know. And so for the lower vibrational beings, they're feeling it 1,000 times more, and it's pulling out their central nervous system, because they're digging in. They're not rising with the, you know, the surrounding energetics, and they're really having a hard time of it. And they will do 1,000-fold what they normally do, which is wrap around the nearest being and start, you know, battling it. Okay. So that was my little energetic explanation of what's going on with the battle between light and dark. So you're going to see each other more extremely, you know, and from their perspective as well, it looks like you've lost your mind. Here they are trying to survive and just, you know, making sure that they feed themselves and their families, and they're struggling and they don't know what, you know, which end is up, and they're lashing out, and just your light, your frequency, your overlapping sound frequency, it's hurting their ears, it's burning their eyes, it's fucking offensive, you know. And they're losing their minds, and they will hurt you in their self-defense, in the ignorance of their vortexual spin. I don't know if that's a word, but I just made it one. And then, you know, the higher vibrationals will turn around and look at them and condemn them and talk down on them and judge them, and you're equally contributing to the problem. Each person is equally wrong, for the reasons that I just said, you know, and especially if you have the ability to see and understand, it's so important that you remind yourself in whatever way that you can on the energetics and what it really is and why it is. Because if you really understand that, the only reason you would react by observing lower vibrational beings is because of experiences and programs which have created programs in your mind. Logically, everything I'm saying, especially as you're going through an ascension process, is going to make perfect sense, and you do understand it. So if you're having a reaction to the abortion story, or, you know, why human beings who have created atrocities, you should feel anything, have any sort of compassion for them at all, then you're experiencing a trigger. And you will not get out of here to the next level until you're able to remove all of the programs, all of the reactions, because that's the old lower vibrational way of being. You need to understand the concepts and remove them. You have no attachments. When you really understand the energetics, there's nothing left. It isn't about you. You know, you will, when you really understand that, you're gonna, it's a naturally, that's when you really experience the law of one. The law of one is everything that I'm saying, in a bigger way, but how you're you know, it's like the, I'm trying to keep this simple, like the clock is ticking. I'm already past 30 minutes. It will allow you to not be reactive in a negative way toward anything. And the more you're able to understand it and see it, guess what? The higher and higher your frequency goes, you understand more and more, it pops up more and more. You will not have any of those feelings. When you look at the perfection of everything and how the energetics work and they bounce off of everything, and it's a symphony of epic proportions. It truly is. And the higher you go and the more light codes, understanding, expansiveness in your brain to comprehend and perceive, fractaling out, you know, the perfect design into infinity, it's blissful and it's beautiful. And you will start to, those words, when you experience the resonance of those words of divine perfection, that's unconditional love. That is enlightenment. That's how it works. Is it that simple? Yep, it is. It is. You know? And you have to experience that. You know, I know a lot of people, including myself, as we've gone through this journey over the years, you have your experiences of that, your flashes of that. Drugs, certain drugs can give you that experience, the flashes of that. So like drugs can be so useful because they show you what it's like to experience that. And they show you where you can go. There isn't anywhere on a drug that it can take you that you can't experience through your own will. And I promise you, the experience in a drug-free mind of your own will, mastering yourself like a yogi, drug can't even touch it. Promise you. It's hard to believe if you've never had that experience, but it's like that times 1,000. Your natural state of achieving the same place is 1,000 times better because your cognitive capabilities are intact. What's happening in your brain, the entire experience, the feelings, it's not diluted or polluted or distorted. When you're on drugs, you have pollution and distortion and all of those things. It's not pure. It's effective and it's a great guide, but it doesn't touch the real thing, you know? So, anyway, when you're able to hold that space, then, you know, you really and truly have compassion. And that's unconditional love. That's Christ consciousness. That is what, when I think of Jesus' stories, that he was always able to see. He didn't look at people. He didn't judge. You know, when he saw terrible things happening or even terrible things are happening to him, you know, I'm sure, yeah, his ego was going, fuck them. Maybe he wasn't saying fuck. Maybe he was. He probably was. How could he not? You know, that's not the point, okay? You can still be human and you can have the emotions, right? You can have the emotions and you're going to have the emotions. And anyone who says they don't have them or tries to choke them down like the Kumbaya New Age movement, drives me crazy. You know, they're full of shit and they're not authentic and they're only holding themselves down because it's normal to have the free-flowing experience. But when you're at the higher frequency, you know what it is. You're not blaming anyone outside yourself. You know that there's never blame on anyone else. You think anyone did something to you. You're running a program and attachment, and that's a problem that you created that you need to fix. And the only thing that's left is unconditional love and peace and tranquility and bliss, enlightenment. That's what's required to pop up to the next level. If you want to go to 5D, you have to experience that. Not just as a concept, but the knowing, the beingness of that. And when you are truly existing in that frequency band, you'll pop up. You'll have the experiences. That's 5D. That's 5D. That's 5D. And you'll go higher and higher and higher. The more that you can expand your consciousness, activate more light codes, understand and experience and be this information, because if without integration, it means nothing. It's like taking a drug trip. You take a drug trip, people keep going back to the drug, back to the drug, back to the drug, because they don't want to do the work. You'll never get there that way. You get an addiction. You learn nothing. You start shutting down any activations, any benefits that you got from the drug. You know, see what I mean? So the natural world is the only way to go. Non-natural parts of the world can be very beneficial. Everything has its place. Tech, machinery, wonderful. It has its place. But the solidity and the beauty and the perfection of divine creation of the natural world, biological beauty, it's on a scale that nothing else compares. And it's the where you have to go. So, I want to go back one more time because I'm skirting around it because I don't even want to talk about it. And I'm probably going on 45 minutes at this point. Will anyone watch it to the end? Probably not, but I'm going to go there anyway. The abortion issue and what it means when you take that life. Okay. So I think everyone can understand that, whether you're for it or against it or whatever, you know. I think even people that are, you know, I'm talking about in a negative way what happens. And look, I know people that have had abortions and, you know, they may for the rest of their life still say it's the best thing that they could have done. They do it over again. It's still the experience of what I told you. Okay? No one, there isn't, unless they are a monster, which is where I'm going next, would think that any way that that's a good thing. All right? It's something that they've deemed the lesser of the evils. It's complicated. There are shades of gray, but for their own personal reasons, that's what they decided to do in that moment, and they stand by that. But the energetics of the experience, still remain. Okay. So at such a crucial time, when you have lower vibrational trying everything they can to latch onto their food source, their energy source, their whole way of being, you don't have the gang members and the Satan worshipers and everything all attacking each other and staying, in their little cave over there. If they did, life would be a lot better. The high vibrational beings could go over there. Nope. The low vibrational ones come over and they feed off of, they kill, they rape, they attack the high vibrational beings. And then you have a societal problem, don't you? Well, since everything is amplified so much and everything is so crucial and we're trying to pull apart and we're trying to evolve and ascend and do all the things that we have to do, you have the low vibrational beings that have been in charge of the planet, some of them for the longest time ever. And guess what? Not only we're escaping. Everything, their whole world is getting yanked out from under them right now. Kaboom, they're going down. They're dead in the water. They're dead. It's over. You've just taken the power elite for thousands of years, the tippy top of the invisible pyramid, and you've just flicked them, okay? Try doing that to a giant anthill. They're very similar in nature, actually. Not to be offensive. Okay, stop it, Wendy. That's my ego, right? Put the ego out. Stay scientific. But no, seriously. That's what's happening. All right? And that at the bottom of that group, at the ones we need to be most concerned about are capable of anything. These are the child traffickers. There is no abomination that they would not touch. Does that exist on our planet at this time? You betcha. It does. And there are a lot of human beings that will not look at that. And just as you cannot ascend up without looking, at all of your responsibilities of your actions and energetics, how everything works, those who refuse to look at truth, I don't care what that truth is, whether it's the truth of what an abortion actually is, symbolically, energetically, or whether you don't want to look at the atrocities that have occurred and are occurring right now in this reality, you're not going to be able to ascend. And this is what's happening. This energetic war is happening. That's why you're seeing a resurgence right now when people are having these great awakenings. Why do we have this surge of the opposite? Well, that is exactly why. They're polarizing, they're pulling apart, and you have, the side that attacks, that attaches and sucks and destroys and trying to yank you back down. That's what's happening. Now you have the baby-killing Luciferians, Satan worshipers, they're sacrificing people and babies and, and just et cetera, et cetera. That these things do happen. They've been documented to have happened. Don't you think that they're going to maximize any of the energetics of that divine spark murder, that energetics behind that at this exact crucial point in time? That's what I'm trying to say. Just by halting for the immediate now, the process of exterminating divine creator source sparks, stopping that process, it shifts our energetics exponentially. Everything happens for a reason. Do you see my point? That's my point. That's my point. And I hope it made sense to someone out there. So my Wendy human female ego doesn't want to hear that. There's a part of me that sees the immediate struggles of a human woman at a particular point in time, and how it could affect her, her choices and freedoms and physical reality. But there's something so much more important going on here. And that's not to even say that in clearing all of this, in the future, when the dust settles, as we sit in a higher vibrational reality, that there would absolutely be no abortion because it's murder and violence and all of that. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that there is even likely a better solution to a problem such as that isn't so low vibrational as a violent termination of a divine life spark. Okay, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. It's not, and any thoughts that you have around it, your immediate thoughts, are an old program, an old paradigm that we are leaving behind. So, the best thing that you can do right now to help yourself in the ascension process, this is basic, but it's complicated, and you have to get all the stuff out anyway, so you can start working on it right now. Anything that triggers you, look at it. Look at the polar opposite of how you would normally feel, and try to see logic in everything and how everything works, and why you have strong opinions and emotions around something, that isn't even especially not in your immediate physical reality, and it's something you overhear, or something someone's talking about, or something on TV, a news article, a news event, something on the other side of the world. You've got triggers, and you need to start pulling them out. You need to start pulling them out, because we're going into a totally new way of being, a much more enlightened way of being that we have not existed in this incarnation, certainly not, and probably not in any recent lifetimes for most of us. And you're going to have to create that. It's the unknown. It's a place when you're activating light codes that have never been activated in your brain, you don't even know of where your possibilities that you're going to be able to go, the creative ideas and societies and governments and better ways of doing things, technologies that we're going to be moving into. Because we're still in the process of going there. We're going from lower to higher. We can't see it. So that's how you get there. And you know what? When you become ascended, you can put back on any of those old programs that you pulled out, any of those belief systems, any of those anything. If you get there and you look around and say, hey, I still think this is the best way of being, in all of your enlightened information, light code activated perspective, cool, you've lost nothing. You've simply unplugged the program, removed yourself from the light show that's been programmed in front of you at a low vibration, so that you can have nothing holding you down, nothing yanking at you, so that you can just ascend up and vibrate a free-thinking, clean computer without programs, so you can analyze where you are and create. That's why you do it. That's the value in it. You lose nothing, and until you pull them out and you reach the higher vibrational perspective of enlightenment, you're never going to be able to see what the program really was, what your role in it was, how it was playing out. You're never going to be able to see it. It's the snake versus the eagle. The snake is never going to be able to see what the eagle sees. The eagle can come down and stand on the ground with the snake and understand it, but until the snake is able to fly, he's not going to have that perspective. So pull out the programs, try not to react. There's a lot more going on than you know. Whether this was done intentionally, this temporary Roe versus Wade decision to stop people that are energy harvesting on the murder of the divine spark, and the sadness and everything that, like I was saying, that goes along with people who actually make that decision, even though it's right for them, it still creates a huge wave of sadness and loss and grief or guilt, and those are food for the demons, right? That's what I'm saying. Just go with the flow, and either don't think about it and stay within your own process of ascension. Don't plug in and feed into it in any way. It will only pull you down and distract you. Or if you feel that you want to go in and look at it the way I have, see if you notice a trigger, whether it's about that or some other topic, and analyze it and grow from it, though, that's great too. Just don't get sucked into it. The way is eye of the storm, to create your Zen bubble of protection and not get involved. Just work on your ascension. Work. And I'm going to be cranking out some videos. I think this is the most important one, that I could think of. This is like at the basis. You can't add on any new information, new filing systems, new programs until you pull out all the old stinky malware, bad wiring, crickety bullshit programs that we have already clearly decided is not in our best interest. Look at the planet. It blows. We got to fix it, right? Leave it behind. You can always put it back in, okay? If you made it to this end of this video, God bless you. You're either really bored on a Friday night or you really are serious about your ascension process and you're giving me a chance to speak my truth about it and share. I love you very much. And I appreciate each and every one of you for showing up for my videos, because I really do want to help. It's heartfelt, okay? So have a great weekend. I'll see you soon. Bye.